Hello, everybody. I'm Beelzebub. Welcome to my channel. I would make an actual video of this, but I think a live stream would be considerably quicker. And basically, what I'm going to do is just read an article from the Huffington Post entitled "Idaho is about to become the first state to restrict interstate travel for abortion." Now, that's not to say other states haven't tried, such as Alabama. I'm pretty sure Alabama has bounty hunters with a $10,000 reward per person who receives an abortion or travels for an abortion, if I'm remembering correctly. But Idaho is actually making it a law that you cannot go to a different state to receive health care, of which abortion is a subset, because abortion is healthcare. It's not really that hard. But let's read what the Huffington Post has to say. And I do apologize if anyone speaking in the comments section feels left out. I will try. Just as soon as my computer manages to keep up with me and I can present the article. Okay. So, as I said, the article is titled "Idaho is about to become the first state to restrict interstate travel for abortion. A bill would create a whole new crime dubbed abortion trafficking, which aims to limit minors' ability to travel for abortion care without parental consent. Although, let's be honest, this will, as with trans-affirming care, this will inevitably be restricted to adults as well. I love the little medieval jail around the state of Idaho. It's definitely fitting. Idaho already has some of the most extreme abortion restrictions on the books, with nearly all abortions banned in the state, and affirmative defense law that essentially asserts any doctor who provides an abortion is guilty until proven innocent. And now Idaho Republicans have set their sights on hindering certain residents from traveling out of the state to get an abortion. HB 242, which passed through the State House and is likely to move quickly through the Senate, seeks to limit minors' ability to travel for abortion care without parental consent. The legislation would create a whole new crime dubbed abortion trafficking, which is just, words escape me, which is defined in the bill as an adult who, with the intent to conceal an abortion from the parents or guardian of a pregnant, unemancipated minor, either procures an abortion or obtains an abortion-inducing drug for the minor. So, if a responsible adult decides to help a minor obtain an abortion or procure an abortion because the parent is, let's say, a psychopath like Lauren Boebert, or is it? Yeah, no, it was Lauren Boebert recently who was proud that her 17-year-old son impregnated, what, a 14-year-old girl? Sure. Dubbed abortion trafficking, which is defined in the bill as an adult who, with the intent to conceal an abortion from the parents or guardian of a pregnant, unemancipated minor, either procures an abortion or obtains an abortion-inducing drug for a minor. Recruiting, harboring, or transporting the pregnant minor within this state commits a crime of abortion trafficking, the legislation adds. Now, let's bear in mind, this is this is a blind read. I haven't read this article yet, but I mean, it's turning out to be exactly what I thought. Let's continue. Abortion trafficking would be a felony, and those found guilty would face 2 to 5 years in prison. Somewhere between 2 and 5 years in prison simply for procuring an abortion. The minor in question, and presumably eventually it will reach adults. Adults will be part of the law. Like if a 13 or 14-year-old child is pregnant, it will be illegal to take them across the border to procure an abortion they want because they're literally a child themselves and don't want their life to end. Essentially is what it is. Because your life is more or less over if you have a child. You're just done. At least as a AFAB person. But let's continue. The legislation also includes a statute allowing the Idaho Attorney General to supersede any local prosecutor's decision, preemptively thwarting any prosecutor who vows not to enforce such an extreme law. Wow. So the party of small government who loves to cry, states' rights, states' rights, states' rights, is thwarting local rights, which you would assume is just as important as states' rights, because, I mean, people should have autonomy, right? If we're being, logical in this, we should want people to be able to exercise their rights. But no, you have these Republicans who claim to be all about small government going and saying, no, you cannot have any sort of discretion with this patently absurd, unethical, and frankly, fairly unenforceable law. Since the bill would criminalize anyone transporting a pregnant minor within the state to get an abortion or to obtain medication abortion, it would apply to an aunt who drives a pregnant minor to the post office to pick up a package that includes abortion pills. You can't even drive a child within the state to your local post office anymore. That's astonishing to me. I genuinely don't get it. Or it could target an older sibling who drives a pregnant minor to a friend's house to self-manage an abortion at home. Either violation would carry a 2-year prison sentence. You can't... Jesus. The legislation doesn't actually say anything about crossing state lines, but Republican lawmakers are creative. They are. Most pregnant people in Idaho are not traveling to obtain an abortion elsewhere in the state. Since nearly all abortions are illegal in Idaho, they're traveling to the border with the intent of crossing state lines, likely to Washington, Oregon, Montana, to get abortion there. Now, here's where the technicalities come in, and that is where the difference gets made. Technically, they're not criminalizing people driving in Washington state with a minor. The crime is the time that someone is driving a minor in Idaho, said David Cohen, a law professor at Philadelphia's Drexel University, whose work focuses on constitutional law and abortion policy. Okay, I am not a lawyer, nor am I a constitutional law scholar, so do not take what I have to say as gospel. Consult with whatever lawyer. It seems to me that literally anyone can drive you to the state border. All the minor has to do is step over that state border. Someone else picks them up on the other side and drives them where they need to go. Now, I'm not trying to poke holes in legislation. That would be... I'm not even going to try to think of the word. And by the way, KCA Randy, how would they enforce such a law? Beats me. I got no idea. But it's a law. It will be probably enforced unequally, because let's face it, the people that this law is going to be against is going to be largely against poor people, probably poor people of color for the most part. So that's just my guess. They're going to say that what they're doing is just criminalizing actions that take place completely within Idaho, but in practice, what they're criminalizing is the person helping the minor. Cohen, who also litigates abortion-related cases with the Women's Law Project nonprofit, told HuffPo. State Rep Barbara Ehard, I don't know, one of the sponsors of the abortion trafficking bill, said plainly that the intent of the legislation is to limit minors' ability to travel out of the state without parental consent. It's already illegal to get an abortion here in the state of Idaho, she told HuffPo. So it would be taking that child across the state border that happens without the permission of the parent. That's where we'll be able to hold accountable those who subvert a parent's right. I'm sorry, but who cares about the parent's right? We're talking about a child legally, so someone under the age of 18 who is seeking to procure an abortion. What business does the parent have? I'm honestly asking this question. And anyone out there who has an answer, I would like you to treat me like I'm in kindergarten, because I don't think it's going to make sense. It's not the parent's body. This is a body that already has been violated because minors can't actually consent. So we're talking about a legally non-consensual sexual act that happened to a child, and the result of which is pregnancy. KCA Randy, again, smacking it right on the point. They don't care about a parent's right. Look at the anti-trans laws. Damn right. Randy again has knocked it right on the head. The parent's right, frankly, doesn't matter to me at all, because we're talking about an entirely other human being who is going to have to live with this decision. The parents of this child don't have to live with the decision. They're not the one that's pregnant. They don't have to live with the medical dangers of pregnancy. Purple just also hit it over the head. Just came in, but isn't taking a child across state lines without parents' consent illegal already? Yes, it is, at least in most states. In the state of Ohio, where I live, you can't even take a child from the family's property without parents' consent. So, I don't know. In a way, this is a little bit redundant. The law is, but I mean, you add on medical necessity, which is abortion healthcare. And Idaho is failing in a big way. In the past, a bill like this would have been brushed aside as political fodder, never to become law, but Idaho has seen a Christian white nationalist insurgency in recent years, helping to create a legislature that's quickly gone down the far right rabbit hole, including by introducing legislation that would bring back firing squad executions. Let me say that again. Bring back firing squad executions. So Idaho is at the forefront of a bunch of face-fucked shit. Or make it a crime, punishable life imprisonment for a parent to get gender-affirming care for their transgender child. Allow me to say that again as well. Make it a crime, punishable by life in prison for a parent to get gender-affirming care for their transgender child. Now, this article not very long ago mentioned parental rights as an argument from the right. If parental consent is so important to these people, why take it out of their hands to allow for gender-affirming care? Now, I myself could use some gender-affirming care. I could probably use a small boost in testosterone, get a little bit of my hair back. As you see, I've got quite the receding hairline. I could use a haircut. I could use a beard trim. You know, all of which technically falls under gender-affirming care. I am affirming my gender as a cisgender man who has a certain preference in how I look by getting a haircut, by getting my beard trimmed to, you know, look clean. You know, I have all the right to do gender-affirming care in that respect, but parents can't give transgender-affirming care to... Something isn't adding up. Either that or these Republicans are hypocrites. I would say it's hard to tell, but it's genuinely not. Mage says, let the parents choose unless they choose what we don't want them to choose, and we arrest them and take their kids away. My chat is just slamming the nails right on the head tonight. And Purple has what would be a discussion between prison inmates. What are you in for? Took my kid to see a doctor. Mark Caesar makes a point that doesn't actually matter all that much to the discussion, but I will grant it. Testosterone will make me lose hair on my head more than at present, but I'd have far more body hair because what I need is to look more like Teen Wolf. I have more than plenty body hair. So maybe I should not go the testosterone route. Perhaps Mark is correct. Let's see. Okay, moving on. Since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June, the country has yet to find the floor on how extreme abortion law restrictions can get. And Republicans in Idaho are actively testing the waters. The far right has an incremental plan. It's death by 1,000 cuts on many things, but they're especially unrelenting on abortion. Now, let's quickly discuss the death by 1,000 cuts, because the simple fact is it's not taking anywhere close to 1,000 cuts for a lot of people. Anyone who is pregnant, be they trans man, non-binary, AFAB, Uh, someone who is pregnant is immediately at risk, potentially. And it doesn't take 1,000 cuts. All it takes is one disastrous medical condition, and that person is gone. But it's not like it matters to these people who are legislating it. Idaho Senate Minority Leader Melissa Wintrow told HuffPost, "My colleagues are just rabid about denying all access to abortion care. It's really harmful to women, and it's harmful to our state." This is a much longer article than I thought it would be. And from here, it kind of seems like it's going to be politicians discussing. I think we got largely through the meat of the discussion in the bits we got through. So, if at all possible, hopefully people will join the discussion. But if not, that's okay too. Because we're talking about removing people's rights to travel out of state. Now, I kind of wonder what it would be like for minors who have driver's licenses of their own to take themselves out of the state, because there's no third party to charge. And what very little I'm capable of understanding of this bill, it requires a third party to take you out of the state. Mark Caesar, are you sure you read that right? If it was done by 1,000 knuts, I'm not going to actually say the word because I don't want my YouTube channel to get taken down. But I mean, I look at this bill and I'm just, things are getting worse in the US. Like, I'm willing to take a look at the actual state of affairs in this country insofar as support for trans rights or abortion care, which again is healthcare. Yeah, Mage, that's actually a point I brought up earlier, although I said someone on the other side would take them further. But I don't know. I genuinely have no clue what to do about this law. Please get your laws right. Australia is influenced by the U.S. and can have some laws somewhat reflect U.S. sentiment. You know, it's unfortunate the U.S. has so much influence on the remainder of the world. I mean, I look at some place like the United Kingdom, England, specifically in the UK, and there is such an anti-trans sentiment there. They let me look up the name because I want to get it right. Okay, no, this isn't the person that I was thinking. It was a teenage trans child who was savagely beaten to death by a bunch of transphobes. And the UK refuses to, I wish I could remember her name, but it's not coming to mind. I want to say Brianna, but I could be horribly mistaken. But they Brianna Gay. Thank you, Treya. I am beyond useless with names. But I mean, I see so many similarities going on, and it's frankly disturbing. If you want to have an actual idea of what a functioning democracy is, don't look at the U.S. Don't look at us. We're a failed democracy. We are descending into fascism very quickly, to the point where you consider all the anti-trans, all the anti-gay laws. Depending on who you ask, we're already fascistic in the U.S. We are not who you want to imitate. Look elsewhere. But if I'm not going to get anyone hopping in, I think I'm going to end it here, because I think the article covered it pretty well, and I'm more or less rambling at this point. So I wish things were better. I wish the U.S. would be better. I wish the countries that, for whatever reason, took after us would be better. But I don't know. Fortunately, there are countries that are looking on in abject horror at what the U.S. is doing and are trying to do something about it. I mean, the majority of the European Union is taking in refugees, of which my fiance and technically myself, fiance, I say fiance as if Alex isn't my spouse right now. Excuse me. My spouse, and by extension, technically myself, are now refugees who are going to be going there. Like, as soon as we get our passports, we're on planes going out. Mark Caesar has a question. What is it in the U.S. you think that makes people anti-gay / trans? Christianity. I kind of wish I had a more nuanced answer than that, but frankly, it's conservative Christianity. If not for that pile of bullshit, I don't think we'd have nearly as many problems as we do, but we do. And unfortunately, conservative Christianity is gaining at least more of a legal foothold, probably not as much of a social foothold. I saw a Humanist Report video earlier, and I'll look for it later and link it in the comment section if I find it. But even the majority of Republicans are against all the anti-trans laws, anti-gay laws. They're against it. But most Republicans, at least according to some polls, are against all the anti-trans laws. But you have all these conservative Christians that have the backing of billionaires, and you know that's actually the other side of the coin. Is actually sticks with conservative Christian billionaires, because they're the ones that own people in political power. I mean, it's not all that nuanced, but our political system makes it a little bit nuanced. So you have conservative Christians who have a lot of money to fling like monkey poo at conservative politicians. These conservative politicians make it their life goal to make their masters' dreams a reality. And unfortunately, a lot of people are just going to follow it, because who else are you going to vote for? So yeah, we've been at this for about half hour. I think Triatiel is absolutely correct right there. So I'm going to end this. Hopefully y'all have found it informative. I really have to pee. Sorry. Night, everybody.